Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. So in this video we are going to be reviewing Man of Steel, the rebooted Superman franchise that really should have been so much better than it actually was. It was really nice to kind of see a new take on the Superman franchise, and it was really interesting to kind of see the history of planet Krypton, which we see in the beginning of the film. However, the tone of this film, the really drawn out and boring fight sequences, and the really empty and lifeless characters really kind of took away from the film and kind of overall made it really unenjoyable and just, a bit of a bore to watch at some points. So I'm going to explain why I was really disappointed by this film in this movie review. So like I said, the movie starts off by looking at planet Krypton and explaining why this planet is under destruction and why Superman, or Kal-El, needs to be transported to Earth. We then go to Earth and we meet an adult Superman played by Henry Cavill, and we kind of see the backstory of this character from kind of being a baby to being a teen to being an adult through flashbacks. You're then slowly introduced to the main players of this film. So you see Clark Kent and Superman and Lois Lane and Perry White, and the main villain of the film, General Zod. You also meet Clark Kent's adopted parents, John and Martha Kent, in this film as well. One of the good things about this film is that it does do a good job in terms of going into depth with all of the different characters, and you really have a rich backstory in terms of the different characters, which I know is a criticism of Superman Returns, which is a bit more rushed. So I feel like it's good that Man of Steel kind of has this opportunity where you kind of really understand the characters and stuff, but it's just done in a bit of an empty, lifeless, and really dragged out way. So I feel like they really need to kind of hit that happy medium in terms of kind of explaining the storyline of the different characters in a lot more of a compelling and kind of speedier kind of way in terms of story narrative. And because of that, the plot is really decent because you really understand why General Zod hates Superman so much, and you really get to see as well how kind of Superman kind of becomes the character that he is, and kind of his whole mission and kind of the conversations that he has with his father in terms of why he needs to kind of have this mantle of Superman, which is really, really cool. The only frustration is that it's a bit lacking, as it's really missing something, as it's just not got very much charisma in there, and like I keep saying, the characters is just very lifeless and dull. So whilst the story has got interesting bits in there, it's just done in a way that's just really uninspiring. The actors that were chosen to play the parts in this film were terrific. It's only a shame that the material they were given just kind of didn't bring out the best in them. I know in the sequels of the film they kind of did improve upon this and the material was a lot better, but as far as this one goes, kind of the performances were a little bit one-dimensional and were kind of just lacking that substance. So for example, with Henry Cavill, despite this, he did do a decent job in terms of playing Superman. You can tell that his version of Superman really has a good moral compass and really believes in goodness. His journey to becoming Superman was a little bit rushed, but that said, they did give a lot of rich character history for this character. So I feel like he overall held the film really, really well together. Similarly, Amy Adams does a good job in terms of playing ambitious reporter Lois Lane. Her romance with Superman is a little bit rushed as well, and you can't really understand why she's putting everything on the line for this character that she doesn't really know that well, and that they haven't kind of fleshed out in terms of a romantic relationship. But that said, she plays the character of Lois Lane really well. Michael Shannon does a decent job in terms of playing General Zod. Because the film is quite long, they have an opportunity to really go into depth with these characters, so you really understand why he hates Superman so much. But because of the script, you just don't really care that much, and if anything, certain scenes with General Zod and Superman are just really frustrating, as there's just no chemistry or charisma within their performances. Russell Crowe absolutely kills it as John L., who is Superman's real father. He has a little bit of an over-the-top Game of Thrones vibe about him, but overall he holds the film really well together from Superman's dad's point of view. We then have Laurence Fishburne, who plays Perry White, And he does a really, really good job in terms of kind of bringing that character to life. We also have Kevin Costner, who absolutely kills the role of John Kent, and he kind of has the adopted father figure role with Henry Cavill's Superman really, really well. So all of those characters as a group work really well together. Like I keep saying though, the material that they were given just meant that they couldn't kind of bring the best out of their performances. From a visual spectacle point of view, the movie does look really, really good, but the tone of it is just absolutely wrong for Superman. It's very dark, it's very gritty, it's very gloomy, and it just isn't really great to see Superman in this setting. So from that point of view, it's a bit hit and miss. And whilst some of the action sequences look really, really good, they really kind of shot themselves in the foot in the sense that they are really dragged out. And it's so dragged out to the point where even though it's visually, you know, spectacular, so to speak, it's just, you just really do kind of disengage and kind of stop caring, because it's just, you know, flying through one building after another and kind of, you know, hitting each other off one after the other, and it's just repeat, and it's just really dragged out. I know why they did it, because Superman Returns got a lot of criticism for not having enough action sequences, but this film just does the wrong response to that in the sense that it's just really, really dragged out. So I wish that the action sequences were less, but from a visuals point of view overall, the film does look really, really good. In terms of comparisons, I personally didn't like this adaptation of The Man of Steel. I feel like it was trying to capitalize upon the Dark Knight trilogy, which was obviously very dark and gritty and got a lot of praise because they kind of had Batman in that setting, and they thought, oh, you know, if we make our Superman world equally dark and gritty, then it will be kind of a, you know, no-brainer and it's going to be a winner. I just feel like it just does not work. You know, Christian Bale and that kind of world of the Dark Knight worked really, really well, but it just does not translate well in this kind of iteration. I much prefer the tone and the kind of aesthetic of the Superman Returns version of Superman, and equally just the 90s Dean Cain series of Superman absolutely had the tone and the kind of setting absolutely right. I just feel like in Man of Steel it just didn't really work that well at all. The next time you do see Superman, so in Batman vs Superman and in kind of Justice League, they do improve and learn a lot from the issues in Man of Steel, so they're a lot better comparatively. But, you know, don't even get me started in terms of comparing Man of Steel to any Marvel movies, as it is in no way in the same league of those films. Overall, I was really disappointed by Man of Steel. I just wanted a lot more from this rebooted, updated Superman world, and obviously it was the first film that was going to start the DC extended universe. Obviously that's kind of done its own thing with a series of mistakes, but I just would have wanted a lot more from this rebooted Superman, and overall I was just really disappointed. I know that they learned from their mistakes and they did kind of improve it, and if they were to kind of continue with Henry Cavill's Superman, then I'm sure it will become a lot better. But, you know, it's just really disappointing because they've got great actors, they kind of had an opportunity to do great things with this film, but as far as Man of Steel goes, it's not a film that I would want to rewatch. So for those reasons, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.